And welcome back, everybody. Here is a totally impromptu recording thing. I didn't know I was going to do this until about 30 seconds ago. Um, Welcome back to MUPS. And I was just thinking about how all the episodes lately have all been in the drawing program, and that can probably get a little bit boring. I mentioned that pretty soon we would get into Blender here where you could see me mess around with things in 3D, and I think honestly that that is something that is kind of holding me back right now. I'm procrastinating something in Blender, which is to complete my rig. I got this character here and it's not bad. There's a couple things about it that I want to fix, but for the most part it's not complete because I do not have a face rig. So as much as I can move him around, I think I have to redo his hair rig, so because the hair doesn't move right now. But it's nice that his head moves around, and I got like a good material on it that makes it look kind of tuned with outline and whatnot. I don't know if anyone's curious how I did that, by the way. But if I just go to the skin, you basically do a normal material, do a ramp, get black on one side or a dark color, a shadowy color, and then your main color. Switch the input to normal, and you'll get an effect of this sort, and you can change it around and whatnot. But anyway, I can't really do any sort of testing with this rig because he doesn't have a face rig to it, so it looks very static and unappealing when he's just blank faced the whole time. And so first thing I gotta do is come in here and make a face rig for him, and I've been procrastinating that for a long time. Although about 1 or 2 days ago I figured out how to do a function in Blender that I have missed for like a year and a half because Blender updated and they moved it somewhere and I didn't know where it went, but I finally found it and I am ecstatic. I am so excited. I think the moment I figured it out a couple days ago, like I saw it and I just like jumped out of my chair and just did a victory lap around my house. I was so excited. And so I thought instead of doing stuff in the drawing pad today for MUPS, I would let you get to see some of this. I think I was going to mention other things I need to fix. Right now with his leg, it's really nice how I can grab his foot and the knee just moves automatically for me. But the problem is if I go too far, it's supposed to stop me right there. But for some reason, it doesn't. And that's bad. That's really bad. It could be funny for some little cartoony kind of movements, but that's it's it's not going to work. So I'll come back to that later. But first of all, I just want to get this face rig done. I'm gonna let's see, to do that I need to set up what is called shape keys. I kind of feel like I want you to see this stuff in Blender, but I'm not really going to go into all the terminology and the exact like second by second how I'm doing this, what I'm going to do. I'm just going to let you kind of watch and maybe talk over it. So shape keys right here is kind of saying, oh, take your mesh, which is this terrifying looking thing. Sorry that it looks like that. This thing, and by default, it's going to look like this basis one. But then as I click through these, it's kind of moving stuff without bones. It just goes from one thing to another and kind of does a transition between the two. So like a mouth open as I slide it open, it's like, oh, like that. Basically what I gotta do is I have a few of them in here already from before that are just testing, but I need to make some official ones. That actually doesn't look too bad. I make some official ones and I gotta make a ton of them. And so I'm gonna be working on that. What else do I have in here already? It's been a while since I looked at these. Oh, that was gross. Didn't need to see that. Lip in that side. I have more of these than I thought I did. Although I think if I want to, do this the right way, I should probably just delete all these and start over. Although some of them are pretty good actually. Oh yeah, eyes are hard to do. Are they? Ooh, nice. Usually eyes halfway do clipping like this, but that's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, I might leave a few of these in here. But I do have to make a ton more, so I was gonna make like 2 or 3 while talking to you on the mic, and then from there just kind of cut to like a time lapse of me making the rest of them, and I would be talking over it. So I hope that you would enjoy that today. I've been kind of concerned about uh, how I was going to do episodes of MUPS in Blender, because so far I've been enjoying the drawing pad and just kind of doing my own thing with it and letting it go my way without trying to favor the style of other people. Be like, oh, I want it to be just like this person. I want it to be like this person. I just kind of jumped into the drawing thing and just did what I wanted, and it felt really nice and relaxing. But like I said, I got scared with the thought of jumping into Blender, because it's like, what do I do? It's not a tutorial, so what are they really watching me do? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a drink. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Cabal and Nessus. Okay, so let's see, which ones in here do I not want? Let's start by deleting the ones that I do not want. Got jaw left, it's not so bad. Jaw right, not so bad. Jaw down, that one's kind of weird. I might just edit that one later. Watch me get lazier and lazier and decide I don't want to delete any of these. Lips open. It's kind of like keeping your jaw closed and your teeth together and opening your lips. Makes sense. I guess I can keep that for now. You'll also notice, if you ever do learn Blender, that when it comes to like facial features, you'll be making a lot of faces at your screen just to try and test them out. And you'll also be like standing up pretty often and doing a pose in real life just to try and figure out what arm goes where and things like that. Mouth open. That's pretty open and not bad, should I say. I always have a real big issue with connecting the outside of the mouth to the inside. And looking back on this, it kind of looks like I kept them separate, which isn't a bad idea. I feel like that's not super professional, but at like just the right angles, it causes a bit of a problem. I'll have to remember that. But no, I'm surprised at how good that looks, actually. I'm usually just absolutely terrible at the inside of, right, I guess I should call it the mouth cavity. The teeth are kind of anime, where it's like, hey, look, here's a white line. That's okay. He's got no uvula. Oh no, he's got a uvula. That looks gross. No, I like that. Definitely keeping that one. He's got a smile. That's not a bad smile. It's creepy from the side, but from the front, that's not bad. Problem with that is I have to separate it individually from left and right. That's probably where I'm going to start when I come back. And also, you can mix these together. So like if I do an open mouth and then smile. Hey, yeah. That's the main goal of what I'm doing with this, is to be able to mix these together to, you know, make any sort of face that I want. But sometimes because of the way that it's just kind of auto-generating this stuff, it gets broken pretty quick. Things don't work together the way they should. Those are wide eyes, and yes, they are. It also emphasizes the guy liner. Eyelids down. Still like that one. I just see weird tiny issues with the mesh. Like I do this, and then I notice up here it moves how I don't like it. This might be a harder task than I thought. Ooh. Bottom lids up. Oh, I thought that said lip, and I got scared. Then I feel like I make that face at customers a lot. Just like, really? Is this really what you're doing right now? Frown. I'm not a big fan of that one. How's it look if I add the eyebrows into it? Okay, that makes more sense. I just needed the eyebrows. Haven't deleted anything yet. Oh yeah, let's do a open mouth and then frown. How does that work? I guess you can't really even do that all that much. That's where it breaks a little bit, like I said. Gotta watch out for things like that. Oh boy, so can't. I guess it's 50% on the frown. That's not so bad. And then if I open it, does it break more? Eh. Eh. How about angry brow? That one's alright. This little spot right here. Oh, my grease pencil is white. When did that happen? I guess that makes sense on the black background though. Usually this thing is black by default, but I guess white makes sense. But yeah, this little eyebrow thing could be changed. What does it look like in a render? So, whoa, get the grease pencil out here. I'm done with you. I said I'm done with you, grease pencil. How do I let go? See. Oh, now you have to press escape. All right, makes sense, but that was weird. Weird flex, but okay. So let's see how this looks in the render. His little eyebrow thing there. Oh, I forgot I put mirrors on his eyes. It looks nice though. Yeah, that doesn't show up too much, so that's okay. Then, okay, next we have the brow sad. He's looking pretty sad. Oh no, I put the camera right in his face. Let's move that over. There we go. Now we can see. And, oh, that doesn't help to have them both going at the same time. Oh, those are some nice eyebrows there. I'm probably honestly gonna like skip through this because this is taking longer than I thought. Brow up. Oh, whoa, whoa. That one's might need some changing. This is one that lets me go negative. So I set it to go like this, to just brow up. That didn't really go up very much. But then I told it like, oh, you can also do the opposite, and so it just like automatically generated the same thing backwards. You know, for it trying to do that all by itself, that went pretty well. I think it just needs, yeah, it needs to take these things with it. So let me edit that real quick. That's scarifying. I should also point out, if anyone's wondering why, when I go into edit mode, the head is all bigger. It's because when I originally modeled it, his head was bigger, and then I just didn't really like the look of that. So after I rigged him up, I made it smaller. How about that? What does his head actually look like if I'm gonna do a quick save before I do this. We got, whoa. Uh-oh. That looks weird. What did I do? And that's why I save things. Yeah, what was that? So one. So this is what his head looked like when I originally made him. You can see it matches the artwork a little bit more. And if I hide the bones, it makes him look like, if this were like a video game and this is what you saw behind, like that would make more sense. From the front, like, I don't know. Just didn't seem right to me, so I put that down to a 0.8 instead. Then, I mean, look at that. Look, he looks so much more proportional and better now. Yeah, that's so much better. I'm actually gonna keep the rig off. I'm kinda glad I did that. Yeah, it's fine. Jaw jut, I think, is sticking his jaw out forwards, giving him that little underbite. And then I think I just want to open up the mouth, make sure his teeth actually moved with it. Oh wait, no, lips open. That's what I need. Yep, his teeth went with it. That's important. And so you can kind of imagine that if I was trying to make an animation going up and down this list to find every change here, because you can animate this. If you didn't know that, you can animate shape keys by holding your mouse over this and pressing I, and it'll put a shape key on top of it. But just doing this many just seems kind of redonkulous. I wonder why his freckles are changing color there. The freckles are actually a mesh, I should mention. They're not textured on there. They are, I think they're even a separate object. Yeah. That's kind of unprofessional, but I don't like texturing characters too much, and that was all I wanted. I don't know. So then we had jaw jut, we have top lip up. That's funny looking. That's fine except for whatever's going on down there. So let me grab this down here. Grab this and do my fall off. Whoa, there we go. That's better. Fixed it. All that. I deleted one. Alright, so that was boring. And so essentially, like I was saying, you can see how incredibly tedious it would be to go through and change these sliders around to that distracted me. To change these sliders around to animate the face. And so what the professionals will do is they will get a rig on the face that they can click and drag around as they please. And so what I need to do is set these up and really clean them out, define them, and then stick bones with them so that as I move bones around, or at least rig controllers, whatever you want to call them, as I move them around, the face will move with it, and I can animate those bones. And it makes the pipeline process so much easier. So much easier. And that was the thing that I lost knowing how to do for a while, but I recently figured out again, so I'm so happy about that. And I am going to make like one or two for you, and then I will just cut to time lapse and I'll talk over it with who knows what later. So let's start with the smile one. I said that I liked this one quite a bit, probably because it has dimples. And I wonder... Oh, the freckles do move with it. That's because they're on a shrink wrap modifier. I don't know if anybody knows what this stuff means. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into edit mode where you can see everything. And I'm going to make it so that this is the only thing you can say. Good grief, he's naked. And then I'm going to grab my vertices. I'm going to go into X-ray mode, and we are going to add a vertex group. This one is going to be called left. Should be stage left, but it's my own project. And this is going to be right. And then I'm going to make sure nothing is selected. I'm going to box select and get as close to the center as I possibly can. Just like that. And then make sure that grabbed everything along the center. Good to go, good to go. Yeah, I did pretty good on that. Don't want to miss anything here. And then I wish I had more geometry in there, but that will do fine. And so this is going to be left, even though, nope, it's going to bother me. It's going to be right because that's his right. And I'm going to assign it all 100% to that side. Then I'm going to do a Control I to select the other side. Actually, I don't want to select the middle though. So let's do this and deselect just the middle. Boop. And then this is going to be the left side. And so now, if I go in and check the weights of things, I can see the two different sides. I don't know why it's green though. Oh, that's probably just the middle. That's why I get it now. That makes sense to me. And then I'm gonna put his clothes back on. That looks horrifying. What? And then, alright. Found a new superhero, guys. He's the superhero that is the mediator between the two sides of Halo matchmaking. You don't. Why the reds and the blues gotta fight? Cause oh look, something's up with the nose on this one. What's up with the nose on this one? Get that vertice out of there. There we go. That's better. I'm gonna save. Gonna get out of that. Go back to my smile, and then actually make sure that that's the only thing going is the smile, and then I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to do plus, then I'm going to do minus because that was the wrong one. Go back to smile, and it's probably this down drop here. Let's see, new shape from mix. Yes, that's it. This is going to be smile dot L, and I need to move that up next to the other smile right here. So smile.l and smile.r. And this one is going to be blended on the right side. Yeah, and then this one, if I turn that off and turn this one back on, is going to be on the left side. Yeah, so now they are separate controllers. Look at that. Look at that. Oh yeah. Got it. Anything else I gotta do that too? Let's see. Jaw left. Nope. Jaw down. Nope. Lips open. I can open one half of my mouth. I don't know if that's necessary or not. I'm gonna leave that one alone for right now. Mouth open. You definitely can't break your jaw in half like that. The eyes wide probably have to be split. Oh man. Oh dear. Oh dear. I didn't actually even make one for you yet. Here the video's been going for so long and I haven't even made a shape key yet. I altered some, but I didn't make a new one. What else do I have to make? I think it's just going to be time to move on to the time lapse. I think you get the gist of things of what I'm doing, and I will just cut to the time lapse. I have no idea what I'll be talking about over it, but I'm just going to go through, make the left and right variations of all the ones here that I need to, add the shape keys that I need, and then maybe go into making the face rig. I don't know if I should do that as a separate episode or not, depending on how long this one is going to be, because I don't want to give you another 50-minute episode. I still apologize about that. And so anyway, this is past Colin saying see you later. Future Colin we'll be talking to though, so have a good one. Here we go. Alright, future Colin, which I guess for my perspective is now present Colin. I just said that I don't know what I'll be talking about during this time lapse, and I gave it some time. I thought about it for like a day or two, and I found out that I still don't know what I'm going to be talking about for this. I also apologized about the 50-minute episodes, and it looks like this one is going to be about 38 minutes, so I did a little better. But yeah, I have to come up with like 12 minutes, or no, 16 minutes of stuff to talk about. That's going to be interesting. So I'll talk a little bit about what's on the screen right now. This character that you're looking at is pretty different. If you've ever been to some of the farther back times of my channel, you will have seen this guy. He is kind of a recreation or a rendition of my first character on a game called Flife. And when I just got done learning how to use Blender, I made some not as good characters, and then I followed a tutorial from CG Cookie on how to make a character in Blender. And I came up with this one, and I was very proud of it at the time. And I think when I was done with this, I made a video I called Pun Sync, which I think it was like a play on the word of like putzing about, which is so stupid. Um, and so that's where I mostly remember seeing this character on my channel is that video. Looking back on it, I went back to see what kind of shape keys he had on his face, and I was so glad that I could find it because I was very proud of this model that I had made a long time ago. But over the course of many computers dying and hard drives failing, I almost lost it. And I found an older version of it, so he doesn't have the most up-to-date hair, and he doesn't have the actual bone controls on his face. But I was glad to be able to go back and check out which sort of shape keys I put on it, or at least which ones were in that file, and I was just kind of jotting down notes of what I was seeing. I was really surprised going back and looking at this and how like lower quality it looked compared to my new one. I always thought in my head like, oh, I missed that other one I had. It was so much better. But like looking at it, it's all kind of jagged and I didn't know how to do the different methods of putting an outline around things. And so he's got some really thick lines around his eyes and like the inside of his mouth. I think the mouth one is still like kind of a good idea, but kind of risky at the same time. It's not any sort of trickery as far as like shaders or materials go. It's just literally like him applying black lipstick to like the inner rim of his mouth. And this one also had a cape that flowed with cloth simulations, and I remember everyone kind of going nuts on my channel about that and how to do it, but looking back on it, it's like, no, this is terrible, don't do that. And right there was something important a couple seconds ago. I figured out what was wrong with the leg stretching too much. I guess in these newer versions of Blender, if you use Rigify under the In panel, or the Properties panel, I think it's called, it looks like there is a feature, so you have to select your IK bone, the inverse kinematics one, in my case it was the foot one, and the sliders that it gives you in that Properties panel, there is automatically defaulted to auto stretch like yes, and whereas I'm used to it being on no or 0, and so I learned about that, and so now much better now. Here we go, looking through some of the shape keys that I have right now, and I was just making absolutely sure that the teeth were moving with the jaw, because that is a common thing that I've messed up in the past, was that the jaw didn't move the teeth at the same time. And my phone just exploded in 3 different ways at the same time. So I'm a little surprised at how much time I was able to take up just talking about that. I think what I was actually wanting to talk about, because I don't want to turn this into a tutorial. I have a bad habit of that when I'm recording anything in Blender, because that's all I've ever recorded in Blender was tutorials talking about the exact ways of how to do this, how to do that. And I'm sure there are people that would like me to talk about things like that, but at the same time, I kind of feel like that's not what this video is for. So I wanted to talk about first about the model and thinking about it in comparison to just the whole project. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, this project, and it kind of made me think back, like, why did I choose this art style for the model? Why didn't I go with something else? I didn't go with something more realistic, something more chibi, or like, how did I make those decisions? And if anyone else was wondering that, it turns out I just kind of winged it. I tried to make a few drawings on paper of what I wanted it to look like. I was looking up all these references for kind of like body proportions, and I found some good reference pictures of which ones I would have liked it to be, but in the end it didn't really quite wind up being that way. I know that with the official project, not the like mini version that I'm working on right now, I want to have like 3 different character sizes. So there's going to be like the kid size, the kid size like right at the start of the show when they don't have their job yet and they're just now getting started on their adventure. And then I think like as the show goes on, I'll like slowly kind of drift them towards being a little bit taller, a little bit more refined. And when they're like halfway into their first job, you'll kind of notice that like, oh, they're growing, they're getting better. And then like once they move into their second job, that's when I'll break out this tall character that you see here. And I think that the length of the story, those first two body sizes are going to go a little fast, and I think that this is the one that you're going to see for most of the show, which I'm kind of excited about because the second job is where things are most exciting and interesting to watch, and it's also where leveling up takes the longest, so it makes sense. So I drew some things on paper, and I remember for a short while there were a couple drawings that I enjoyed a lot, and I was so excited. I thought, like, yes, this is it. I love this. This is the one I'm going to do. This is what my project is going to look like. And then I popped in to Blender, and I made the character in those proportions. I didn't actually like make the full clothing set or anything like that, but I just made the base character for that. And it just didn't look good. I don't want to say it looked awful, but uh, if if I go back and re-listen to this recording after I'm done recording it right now, I'll stick some pictures on the screen. But it just, I remember getting excited about it and thinking like, oh, this is working. I'm almost done with it. Wow, look at what I made. And then I thought like, let's go back and check that other one that I didn't like that wasn't working out. And I went back and looked at this one. And then it just kind of blew my mind thinking like, wait, hold on, this is way better. Why am I thinking that this new one that I'm making is any good when I have this just sitting around? And for some reason I thought that this one wasn't any good, but it maybe it's because I had the giant head before and I made that decision to make it smaller, and it just looks so much better now. So that's how that art style kind of came about. I've been very excited as I got started on this MUPS project. I've been talking with my wife a little bit about this, and it makes me so excited that she's kind of interested in this too. And we went into the topic the other day of like field skills. This is kind of like a hard right turn tangent or something. I was talking about the model, and here I'm going into more world design. We were talking about like, yeah, the characters will have like their own like sword skills and bows and magic and things like that, but what if I tried to add in like kind of RuneScape skills, if you've ever played RuneScape, where you have like mining and smithing or cooking, and I kind of liked the idea of that quite a bit, especially the cooking. It reminded me of Log Horizon, if anyone has ever seen that, where when they're stuck in that game, they did require to eat food, and only people with certain cooking levels could make certain things, and otherwise it would just burn and not work. And so anytime they went on an adventure, like they had to bring good food that was made by the actual chefs back in the town with them, and if they kind of ran out on their journey, that's when they had to start like eating bugs and other things because they didn't have the cooking skill for it themselves. And I want to think about more ideas like this and how to work it into the story. I know in Sword Art Online they had a couple field skills. They were pretty strange ones too. Like there was the simple smithing and mining type of things, and I think that worked out really well for these people to go into the field and like find an ore and be like, oh, I could really use this for something great, but I don't have the level for it, and then have to bring it back to the smith area and then have them work on it. And I really like that idea because then it also gives something for the people in the town to do, the ones who don't want to go out and fight for their job. They can get the system, train a little bit just to kind of be okay in their area, and then just stay there, settle down in the little town that they're in. But I'll then start becoming like a good like masterwork smith kind of person, or this person is the chef for the town, and it kind of brings life to the cities that these people return to. So I liked that idea a lot. There were some other weird ones in Sorter. I think like he had these like tracking abilities, and I think the stupidest one I remember hearing was like, oh, my hearing level is high enough to where I can listen through doors, and it's just like, no, that's getting a little too far now. I almost made it that like 16 minutes. I'm really surprised. I honestly thought that I was gonna have to like make 4 or 5 different like segments of recording where I just like record one topic and then pop back in and be like, oh, it's tomorrow. Here's what I'm thinking about today. I think the next thing that I was thinking about talking about in this little time-lapse segment was what I'm going to do with the other party members that I mentioned in the last episode. I'm having trouble coming up with the little storylines for the other parts of the party that split up. And I think that that is mostly due to the fact that I don't know who's going what way. And so I have to kind of decide what characters and what classes they are going what direction. And so I was thinking about trying to decide on that right now, but I don't have any notes or anything with me. So I always went for that like kind of blade and knight class because they were my favorites to play as, and I always liked the idea in the story of having them kind of bump heads and not get along, because one is the high damage and super speed, and is also like the glass cannon, whereas the other class is like the tank, very slow but high damage, and so they kind of fight over like which one is the right way to fight, which one is the better, or which one is easier. And then I think I threw the ranger in there because I was enjoying Destiny, to be honest. I thought throwing a healer in there would make it a little easy right off the bat, and so I thought like, no, let's give it something that was a little difficult so they don't have a healer with them. That also gives me a reason to make like potions and stuff, which is kind of cool. And then when I was on playing Destiny 2, that's the game where they released the ability to have a bow, and running around with a cape and a bow was just so satisfying, and I thought like, yeah, I want more of this, and so that's why I chose Ranger for that. So I know that one of the paths for the other two parts of the party going in this dungeon are going to have the healer. I don't think I want the two other ones to have a healer, unless one is like that guy with a scythe that doesn't really do a whole lot of healing but does curses instead. And I'm saying a lot. I wish I wouldn't do that. That's what happens when I don't plan things out on a clipboard or on notes before I start talking, and I just try and wing it. It's kind of like when you were in school and they were like, all right, your project is to get up in front of the class and talk about literally anything you want. It just has to last 15 minutes, and you have to keep going the whole time, can't stop. And depending on what I was talking about, I was good at that. So I'm thinking for the next set of 3 for a party, or maybe even 4, it says it has to be 3. I definitely want to have the knuckle duster in there, the one who fights with fists. And then if I want to think about who that would pair well with, I'm thinking, I don't think that one's going to get the healer, so they might get the yo-yo person, and maybe one of the magic users. I haven't given a whole lot of thought into the magic users. Probably the like element one that uses a staff. So you have the long range magic person. You have the close quarters combat with the punching. And then the yo-yo guy is mobility. Yeah, that works out great. That's a good decision there. And then the last one will have the healer. And so then it would be the classes that need more of a healer, which would be more like close quarters kind of classes. So that could be... It's like it could be the wrecking ball person, or it could be the other type of magic users. It looks like I'm almost done here, so I at least figured out one of them. And that's a weird image to leave on. I forgot I did that. So yeah, I came up with one more, so that at least lets me write more notes on my clipboard, and gives me a project of something to do in the next episode. So next time you see me with MUPS, I am either going to be making a bone controller for that rig to where I don't have to use the little menus on the side anymore, or I'll be back in the drawing program talking about the storyline again. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any tips on like what you want me to talk about during these time lapses in Blender, because I know that's going to be coming up more and more as time goes on, go ahead and let me know what you want me to talk about, because I kind of feel like I didn't do as good of a job on this one, but maybe, I don't know. Yeah. See you next time. Bye-bye.